Maybe do me a favor, if we're on the dais, I prefer we don't have quiet conversations. Everything needs to be on the record. So.
Talking about dinner.
That's good. This is fine. If you're talking loud, I know that. If you're talking quiet, it's just a recorded mumble. So, just for everybody's protection, we don't want anybody to get an open meeting violation. So.
Call the Town of Superior Planning and Zoning Committee to order. I'll stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Invocation. Dear Lord, thank you for everything you've done for this town, and please help it keep going along with the projects that are going on and the festivals coming up. Amen.
Amen.
Roll call. Robert Bell.
Aye, here.
Hank Gutierrez.
Here.
Mary Ann Bell.
Here.
Lance Lindsay. Here. Matt Mashaw. Here. Joy Evelyn is not present. Consent agenda, approval of minutes of planning and zoning meeting on January 2nd, 2025.
I missed that meeting, so I don't know.
Make a motion.
Make a motion.
Motion made by Hank Gutierrez to accept the minutes. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mary Ann Bell to approve the minutes of January 2nd, 2025. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Motion carries to approve the minutes of planning and zoning meeting on January 2nd, 2025. New business, discussion, possible approval of resolution number 2025-03, a resolution of the Planning and Zoning Commission of the Town of Superior recommending that the Town Council rezone property from the urban residential R1-5 zone district to the multiple residential R-3 zone district.
I did want to clarify at least one issue I've noticed. The zoning application says the intent is to turn it into a mobile home park or a tiny home subdivision or a home subdivision. Mobile home parks would require another approval, conditional use permits. It's not allowed, mobile home parks aren't allowed with a conditional use permit in any zoning district.
So what was the other option?
We have the property owner here. Do you want to come address your intent?
You bet. My name's Alan Worth, and so I purchased a piece of property recently. As you probably see if you come down Main Street there, I've been working pretty hard on it. My son here, Joe, my son-in-law, Rick. We are wanting to be able to do what the guy in the corner is already started. So his name is Brian Hatch, and he's doing a project there of mini homes. And he has, on 1.6 acres, he's trying to do 29, been approved to do the 29 mini homes on that parcel. And so we're kind of watching to see what he does, to see the viability of that project. What we've tried to be able to do is just to fix the old house that was up there and clean it all up because it was a mess. And so we've been working on it pretty hard, just to kind of clean it up. And I've been in conversation with Brian for quite a bit, just to see what his plan is and see how he's going to do it, and actually watch what his project does, because he's years ahead of me, I guess he started 7 years ago, actually. And, of course, with COVID and all the other things, everything got backlogged and stopped. But, so I've been talking with him, and what the goal is to be able to actually do something similar to what he's doing. So we've been looking at options. You know, there is a lot of different things that are out there that are done. Flagstaff, they have a home site there in Flagstaff that basically is many homes, and they're pretty awesome, and they use those things there for people to come in there, and of course with hoping that the mines kick up and there's a shortage of residential, and so we're hoping to be able to meet that need.
When you say mini homes, give me what square footage?
So they're just right at 600 square feet.
So that's basically a bathroom, a bedroom, and a kitchen?
Pretty much. Some of the ones that you can see, like if you ever go onto the website there, they can get your website there in Flagstaff there, they're actually at 2 stories, so there's a loft above. It's not very high even, so it's just more of like a sleeping quarters, and then downstairs it's got a kitchen, bathroom, and a little living area there on the thing there.
So
But he's been approved on his site there. I talked to Lana extensively about being able to do something similar to what he's doing, and that's what the goal is.
So what's your market? Who you gonna market this to?
Well, again, we've talked to a lot of different people. Maria Salcedo, as I'm sure you know, she's kind of been giving us a little bit of counsel as far as being what we could do in the market, and she says that she has all those homes that she has, once they get built, she has them leased already. So it sounds like there's a pretty big demand for that, and I'm thinking as the mines get going, and I'm hoping again that happens for all of our sakes, is when that develops, there's going to be a huge shortage. And we'd rather keep people in Superior rather than going to Apache Junction or, go to Miami, as I think that would really help the development, at least on Main Street, and of course bring a lot of patrons and business to the town center.
So this plot I'm looking at, is this for the mini homes or for?
That's my site there, and so Hank, it's about 900 feet across the front.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. I just want to know the way it's plotted out. Is this for mini homes or for mobile homes?
No, mini homes is the goal at this
Oh,
point
okay.
right now. Yeah. And again, Brian has already started. He had the equipment delivered here this last Monday, so he has his big excavator there. He started to grab the site already. He's got it all posted, so I guess I'm pretty sure that he's going to be starting pretty quickly. I still am going to have to go through my plans and be able to go through Canal County to be able to get the plans drawn and whatnot. What we started doing was just to be able to fix up the house that's on there and to be able to clean the site up because it was such a mess. And so our goal is to be able to make, we were unsure whether the house was restorable or not, and we're glad that we did because we actually found out that it's in really pretty good shape and it looked pretty rough. But we're getting there, and it's going to be a pretty nice home. And I think it's going to be, I think it's 1927 built, so we kind of like the idea that we're keeping something and we're trying to keep it restored in its original condition. We left the siding, which was a kind of a tough decision to be able to make, but somebody had already upgraded a lot of the electrical and plumbing, so once we got to it, it was just meant more cosmetic than anything else. And so once we started clearing the side with all the brush and the debris that was there, we've got it down where it's actually starting to look pretty good. And one of our goals that we're trying to be able to do on that side is that we realize that we're on Main Street, so we would really love, and I talked to Brian's doing the same thing, he's actually a landscape architect, and we're going to be able to do something really neat along the Main Street. So we're going to do little gabion wall, which is the stone fence, all along that whole thing, which we have 900 feet of frontage. So we've already started the landscape, as everybody you've seen there. We put a little bit of rock down there just to make it look a little bit better. But we put that gabion wall with some uplighting and stuff on that thing there, so as you come down there, it's going to have a very nice feel coming down alongside that thing and a pretty long stretch. So I think you'll like what you see there. And again, I talked to Brian a little bit, if he's going to do something really similar to that though too. So coming into the town and into the old Superior, it's going to look pretty nice when my time for that there. So
I think I heard you say that these mini homes would be for sale now for rent.
well, so right now, apparently what Brian is doing is renting. He's just doing it for a period of time, and then eventually he's going to be able to sell it. That's the plan that he has. We haven't formulated a plan on that at all. We're just basically feeling our way through this a little bit at this point, and been in consultation with some of the people that are here. That again, one of the people I've talked to an awful lot is Maria, because she's invested in the community here. She wants to see the town prosper, and so do we. We actually we've kind of been as we've been here working on it, we've kind of fallen in love with the place there. You know, we go down to the Porters and get the sandwich there, and we look at the mountains, and it's a neat community. And we feel like we can contribute to the community to be able to make it look good, and so that people that come in there are going to say, hey, this is really starting to take form.
A question I have for Todd is that I know we've talked about other developments, whether it's a rental or sales, that there's water restrictions. How does this apply?
If he's not subdividing, he does not need an assured water certificate. Build to rent, you don't need a water certificate. If you were doing subdivisions of more than 5 lot splits, you need assured water supply, which isn't available in our community.
Now run that by me one more time so I can understand.
So we are in the Phoenix AMA. So it requires, in order to do a subdivision with more than 5 lot splits, you need to have a assured water certificate saying that you have secured 100 years of available water for that subdivision. That requires this. The Phoenix AMA last year changed its rules so that we cannot use groundwater sources. We have a perfectly robust groundwater system that has serviced the town for 100 years, or not quite 100 years, 80 years. But because of the rule changes, we have to have a surface water source to recharge that with, or we can't use it for assured water certificates. Assured water certificates are not available in the town of Superior at all.
Well, if these are, it's just hypothetically, if these units are sold, isn't that a division, because the owners are gonna own that particular plot of land?
If they're actually subdivided, yes. If it is like the other tiny home subdivision where you rent a house, but you do not own the underlying, you don't know?
He mentioned both.
Right.
He's not sure which way he's going to say.
Yeah, but so, to be clear, this is not a subdivision map. It would have to be approved by Pinal County and by us.
Yeah.
This would not pass. Very clearly, this isn't a doable subdivision here. In fact, it's not even doable as a tiny home subdivision as it's drawn. I know this is just a sketch, it's conceptual. It's got a lot of issues that would have to be corrected before a final site plan review was approved. So this can't be done as is. But again, if it was a mobile home subdivision, it would have to come back to here for a conditional use permit. Even if it's a tiny home subdivision, it will need a full site plan review and a design review. On one this large, it would probably come back here again, just like the other one did.
So why the zoning change? I mean, what's it now? Is that just?
It allows one house on the current zoning.
And we're going to?
He wants to do R13, which allows 20 houses per acre.
Okay, 20 houses sounds like subdivision to me.
But it's not. It's a higher density lot. So an apartment complex is an R3. It's a high density lot.
Yeah.
So the tiny home subdivision, it's an R3. It's a high density lot. It allows a certain amount of building per acre. As long as you're not subdividing and selling the underlying land, then it's still just one lot. So the idea of subdividing these and selling the lots, that's not doable. It's not doable for the Hatch subdivision either.
So if the property owner invests into doing this as mini homes, rentals, can't sell them unless it's subdivided. Down in the future, would that be correct? I don't want to back anybody into a corner, because the expectation is that, because you gave me 2 things, rental and sell. So if it's a mini home and it's rented, that's a different story as to renting.
That model is used quite a bit for mobile home subdivisions, where a mobile home, you rent your lot and you own your mobile home.
We just move away from mobile homes. We just stick to mini homes.
Yeah, mini homes. Nobody's ever done that before. I see no way it could be done, to be honest.
Am I confused?
Hank, maybe I can clarify that a little bit, but is that, there's a whole different lot of categories. They have what's called park home models, which basically come in on wheels and stuff like that. They look similar to the mini homes. The mini homes are site built. So that's the difference. The site built homes or the mini homes are site built. They're not brought in. Now they can be prefab and then brought in and set down there, but they're set on a slab and they're built just like a conventional home would be.
No, my struggle is not that. I totally understand. My struggle is, if it can't be subdivided and you're building mini homes, your market is going to be to sell the mini home. If I'm buying a mini home on whatever plot this is, I own the home and I own the land that it's on. Is that,
You cannot do that. That's not a practical thing to do. It would have to be subdivided. It would have to be, the lot would be split. None of those lots would meet the lot setbacks or anything for R13. They'd have to be rezoned. It's just not doable. You can't sell the lots individually.
and what's that other, you mentioned the other property owner.
This is a public hearing. If when the public wants to address this, you can, the chair can recognize them.
Any questions?
I
What?
just wanted to say,
Before we go to public hearing, was there a notice about was there like other than the paper, was there a notice about the zoning change?
There was a 300-foot notification. Looking in the file, 7 of those letters came back. So I am concerned that we don't have everyone in the neighborhood aware this is going on. We do have some members of the community crafts. They could tell us if they.
I guess what I'm saying, because I think we're gonna be going through this quite a bit for different areas, not just this property. Thank you very much for even taking an interest, but I think going forward, it's one thing to send out letters, but at the same time, I think we need to put up a sign, a board, saying rezoning and changing. So, because I drive by a lot of properties in the valley and I see, oh, there's a rezoning.
Yeah, there is a board there.
There is a board.
Yeah,
I
Lana buys the signs and puts them out when there's a rezone. I don't know where it is on your property.
It's right in the middle.
In the middle, like on the street side?
Yes, sir.
I've seen the landscaping, it's nice landscaping.
So, but we
I offered
do,
to make the sign even, but Lana said, no, we got that covered, so.
yeah, it is, but we've done that for the last 5 years or so. Whenever we do a rezone, we put the signs on the lot for 30 days. We send letters to everybody within 300 feet.
No, I'm just
We
curious,
post it for 30
I
days.
see it visually, so, and I drive by there quite a bit, because I look at the progress, I go, wow, what's going on there?
Like I said, I just want to make sure that we've had discussions with everybody in the neighborhood, that everybody knows this is going on, because there's been a lot of concern about this project. So I want to make sure that everybody's had a chance to be heard. And that's my concern here for the 7 return letters. There's only like 13 people who live there. So I want to verify that everyone is aware of this, so that we're not dealing with people who are saying, well, I wanted to have my voice and I didn't get it.
The other question I kind of noticed that the cell tower that's on the school property, is there an easement between the pole and that fiber that goes, because it looks like it's going right through your property.
The easement it's all fenced off, so they have an easement all the way where the fencing is around the entire, so there's Verizon and I guess there's,
No, I'm talking about from Main Street, there's a fiber cable that comes down that pole, it's underground, that goes into that compound where the tower's at. Is that on your property?
no, we had it all blue staked, so we had the communications guys out there and they blue staked it. That actually runs down on the school property, down in the long side of it, and then into that is my understanding. It's not on our property though, because we've identified all the other utilities that are there, power, water, gas, electric, and so it's all there. We know where all of that is there, and that one must come down on the school property.
Including the fiber.
Yeah, and now there is a fiber there, and the guy warned us, he goes,
Yeah.
be careful you don't hit this thing here.
Yeah,
He shuts the whole
people have
city down.
cut that already.
Yeah, they have,
Yeah.
yeah, so.
Okay.
Okay, Pam, do you have a question?
well, I just wanted to
Could
say,
you stand, please, so everybody can hear you? Oh, your knees.
If you don't,
Pam,
No,
if your
it's okay,
knees, if
Pam.
your knees are hurting, don't.
that's fine.
well, I just had knee surgery.
Okay.
Yeah, just stay there then.
Stay sit down.
That's a reasonable ADA accommodation.
Sorry about
Okay,
that.
I'll try to speak loud. I've been taking my real estate hours, my renewal hours, and I took water yesterday, so I wanna let you know that it is in the legislature to do an alternative to the 100-year water supply. Because Arizona's the only one that does it apparently. And all these other states have other ways of doing it. So they're looking at it and they feel it's gonna be up to the governor. I think she'll get it this summer, whether she approves it or not. But they're working on it. They know the 100-year water supply is not workable anymore.
Well, I kind of look at stuff like that from the state legislature, and we gotta deal with what we have today,
I understand.
because you never know what the lawmakers are gonna do down the road.
They are serious about doing it.
Yeah.
So, I don't wanna get too much into that. I do know that there are lots of, problems with that. We deal a lot with this issue, of course.
Right.
It's something we pay attention to. And there's lots of lobbying influences in there that aren't happy with the provisions. They haven't been able to come to a resolution of what they wanna move forward. Developers especially are not happy with it, so it's because it requires them to have 25% more water. So they have to pay a 25% premium in order to get a alternative certificate. So there's been lots of pushback on it. I have no idea how it's all gonna come out. So it is a hypothetical. We have to deal, again, like you were saying, with what we have today, which is you cannot get an assured water certificate in the town of Superior.
You know, as a developer, and you know, I ask these questions, not only, maybe you're aware that there's other projects that are going on where there's water issues, especially for a subdivided property. So, as a P&Z, you know, we don't wanna lead you down the road with some false assumptions of what you can and can't do, because you're making an investment, which we encourage, but we want to make sure it's good for you and good for our community, so. So we're changing the zoning to multi,
Yes.
and,
You got one more?
oh, I'm sorry, sir.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Maria Salcido. I'm the one that's actually been working with Alan, but I've been working with Brian for years, like working on this project that we have. That's Old Phoenix Road up into kind of like his property where it kind of angles in. And I actually have a copy of the survey piece for you guys to actually take a copy of. If you want it, you can have this copy, and I'll give it to Todd. But it kind of shows where the easements are for this property on this, because we have a little piece that we've worked with him on to kind of bring the properties kind of together to where we can actually do the development where it enhances the whole area. This here also, there's like a little area where the school is, so it kind of just gives the survey of his property in conjunction to the school that you were asking for. So that's what this is. Also, Mr. Hatch's property's been going through this for like 7 or 8 years. We're now finally in that part, permits are done, we're ready to move forward on our stuff. The really nice thing about it is that we do have somebody that wants to come in and do something on the other property. Our properties are always rental. That was one thing that Brian wanted to keep as something. He said, unless something drastic happens to him, it is later on in his will, which he has mentioned this to me, that those eventually, when there's water available, could be subdivided by his heirs later. He is not interested in selling anything right now. He's been working on trying to get this as a rental development probably for the last 7 or 8 years.
2 different properties though.
They're all rentals.
No, I mean, we're talking 2 different things.
No, we're not really talking 2 different things, because he also mentioned that we might be subdividing, and we're not gonna be subdividing that parcel. That parcel's always been for a rental piece, unless it's maybe 20 years down the road and there is water available, then we might sell them all.
Just out of curiosity, is that an environmental site? Because it was downstream from.
I have the reports on those.
Is that, we have
I
that?
believe that that's a Northwest Study Area property.
Yeah.
I believe it has a no further action letter on it,
Correct.
which means it has a clean bill of health for arsenic and everything.
Yeah, I think that would be a good.
It's
thing
just
to-
arsenic and lead is what they established for. It doesn't mean it's clean for everything else, but that's all I know of that was
I know
ever.
that Ms. Salcido's probably done that, but I encourage you, make sure that you got a clean bill of health on that property, because you don't want anybody coming back on you on that, so.
And actually, Mrs. Rabovo is the one that actually helped me with all of that when we first purchased it. So we worked on that pretty well together as well. But if you want a copy of that, I can do it with Todd and you can redo it.
So,
Hi, I actually live in the Sallyville. They never bothered to say anything to us. We found out just by rumors of what they were doing. But how are you gonna put 20 houses, and how can you guarantee that you're gonna sell them when they're not even family home? It's a 1-bedroom, and the traffic that's gonna be there, and we live there for a reason. And I don't know, just, plus the neighbors. Do you know the neighbors?
I do.
You know the Kim. and
Please,
you
please,
know,
ma'am, if you could do me a favor, please address all your comments to the board. We don't wanna.
The neighbors that we have on the west side, they're not good neighbors. So it's gonna be hard to rent, as you all well know who my neighbors are. It's gonna be hard to rent there, if they're still there. They were kinda like starting their own trailer court there for a while, with generators and fires, and that's not what we want in a neighborhood, really.
Well, you bring up a very good point, on parking, because,
It's a one-way street, I
Yeah.
mean, there's no way out there.
well, I think that there's like there's two, well, it's off the same road, but I live in a small development on the south side of town, and parking is a major deal, and the lots are bigger. I mean, you can't, when I see a development like that for many homes, yeah, maybe one car. If they come to visit, there's gonna have to be restrictions, otherwise you're not gonna get, emergency service vehicles in there.
Right.
And if they're gonna park on Main Street, or maybe other areas close in proximity, I'm just kinda thinking out of the box. I know we're kinda at the preliminary stuff, maybe we ask the hard questions now. So,
Could I address the concerns?
yeah,
We did meet with Dallas, the fire marshal, and talked about egress and egress from there, so that we have a way. First of all, we're right at the very front of McKelveyville, so we don't want to impact any of our neighbors negatively. We've talked to Nando and told him, look, if he's our closest neighbor there, we will meet with you also. I've been more than welcome. You can see me there every day, almost there, working on the thing there. I would have loved for you to come over there and talk to me, but I didn't feel like it was. Well, and that's why this open forum is here today, so that you have a chance to address it. And again, if you want to come over and speak with me about any of your concerns, one of the things that we suggested, because we don't want to impact negatively our neighbors either, what we were going to do is, as soon as you come down McKelveyville, it would turn into by where our house is there, so that we would actually build a wall all the way down that street there, so that you don't get even any light or anything down there. And Nando and his wife Shelley there have asked us to be able to do things to protect them. We said, absolutely, we'd be more than happy to do it. We do not want to be able to be an adverse neighbor to anybody. And we will do all the things that we can do within reason, of course, to be able to make that. I hope you like what we've done so far, because I think what we've done has been pretty impressive. In a month's time, we literally have taken a dilapidated old piece of building and made it into something really pretty nice looking, with landscaping and all the other things. And we're not done. We have an awful lot of things that we'd like to do. So McKelveyville, as you come in there, it will be a nice lighted area there, coming through there. And again, we won't impact any of our neighbors down the street down McKelveyville. Everything will turn in there, so you'll never even see those people coming in or out, because they will never make it down the hill to where you live. And I don't know which home you are in, but I know the homes that are down there, the ones that most immediately impact Nando and Shelley there, I've spoken to extensively. In fact, I've got Nando's tractor over at my property right now. He's letting me borrow it. We're in pretty good terms with everybody. And again, we would like to be able to come in there, not to negatively impact anybody. We won't do that. But what we want to be able to do is to make it so that somebody is actually, you guys are going to feel like this is very nice, that what we have done on the entryway there, so it's going to be coming into your home there as well.
what's the proposed size of these lots?
There's not really anything official, Hank, at this point right now. I've been working with Lana a little bit to try to be able to say, so we have 3 lots there. It's 1 parcel, 3 lots.
Yeah.
And so there's 2 parcels there that we really, or 1 parcel down on the other side that we haven't even decided what we're going to do. We're going to actually dedicate some of it to Brian's job, because it's a long triangular piece that goes actually to the front of his property. So we're adjacent. His project and our project will be adjacent to one another. And one of the long narrow sliver there is he wants to run a bridge over top of that. And it really has no use to us at all. It's not buildable, it's not usable. And so what we were going to do is just dedicate that to him and have him redraw that again as an easement. And I think, Maria, you're working on that, are you not? And so that will solve that problem there. And so then the other lot that's in front of Nando and Shelley's house there, which is down at that end down there, that one there, we haven't determined what we're going to be able to do with that. Probably what we're doing, you addressed parking, that's probably what we're going to be able to do, is what we'll do is probably build a wall there. In fact, we already talked to Nando about building a retaining wall there with some site things there, so that we could actually put some cars if we needed to. We're hoping not to be able to go that route as far as being able to have high density or, you know, lots of cars and stuff like that there. What we'd like to be able to do is just like what Brian's doing on his site there, where it's actually slated for 1 or 2 cars there on each parcel there. So they will be accommodated right on there. We're not gonna allow other parking to be able to take place on the sites.
At the end of the day, as a developer, on behalf of the developer, we're not actually approving anything we're just changing the zoning to give them an opportunity to do what?
He can consider higher density things. This isn't a plan.
Yeah.
It would have to, a full site plan review would have to be, a design review for the structures would have to be done. Because that is the old magma wash, it will likely require a grading and drainage plan before any walls or retaining walls are put in. He's gonna have to hire engineers and architects, and this is probably a multi-year process before it could actually be built. The question you're facing tonight is whether you wanna allow him to consider higher density uses or not. That's the entire question. It's not, the specific use would have to go through a bunch of hoops before we're there.
Kind of getting into the weeds here.
Yeah, and we understand that a whole engineering drawing is gonna have to be done, but this is the first step, of course. We need your approval to be able to do that. We can't go any further than that, and so once we have that, if we do, then we would of course meet with an engineer, and they would have to be able to do the drawing. And as Todd mentioned, there is a wash that runs down through the middle of that there that's going to have to be accommodated. It already is, but it's on the extreme south portion of our property. But it also is a problem. I think that, you know, there's that wash apparently was started on the Resolution Trust side of it, or Resolution Mine side of that thing, and it comes underneath Main Street. Well, that's completely occluded. It's blocked off in its entirety. So I think, and one of the people have told us that they have accommodated a lot of the water flow that used to come through there on their site now. But I know that Brian's going to be dealing with that too, that culvert that goes underneath the Main Street and then down and runs all the way down the southern border of our property.
So a lot of water that comes there, even if it doesn't drain from the Resolution site, there's a lot of water that collects there and drains in that ditch. You may not think about it, but there is, because the street is paved,
Right.
I've seen pools of water.
Yeah, and again, that's on our property line, and so there is, our plan, and again, it's tentative, of course, is to be able to do some type of a retention basin down there, as well as on Brian's parcel on the corner there, as would be a logical spot, because it's basically unbuildable to do the retention basin down on that side down there. And again, the wash is already established running through that whole entire piece of property there.
From my point of view, just on behalf of the citizens and the ones that I know, that Main Street is very sensitive to the community. Very sensitive, because I think someone has told us that that's the longest Main Street in Arizona. And you think about that, there's other proposed developments along Main Street, so I always appreciate developers, but I can tell you that we have members sitting over there, they're sensitive. We have real estate people, and we have people that actually live in that area. We're all sensitive to it, because this is our front porch for people coming in.
Absolutely.
So whatever comes to us in the future, you know, I think the design or whatever you guys propose, you know, it's gonna probably be very, it's gonna be a lot of questions.
Yeah, and we recognize that right out of the gate. In fact, that's one of the reasons why we decided to do some of the landscaping stuff like that there. I mean, if anybody can remember what it looked like, it was an overgrown, weed-infested, rat-infested property with an old metal building and lots of concrete poured everywhere. It's like that. We've cleaned all of that up already. And again, I'm not asking for kudos or anything, but that's our intent, to be able to make it look nice. And I think that you're gonna like the finished product so that it's going to look good all the way.
So, members of the public, I think we ought to take some public questions just to look at.
Any other questions?
So, question, clarifying, so right in front of the Adedondo house is gonna be a parking lot on Main?
I'm sorry.
Is that what he said, that they were gonna use that for parking?
There has not been any formal plan on any of the.
I think that goes back to what we're saying is really for today.
It's just a rezone is all.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought he had said right there in front of Fernando's house,
But
that you put a wall and that. could
that's
be
after
used for parking.
engineering and everything.
Yeah.
Hector?
Yeah, so I'm just concerned, if this property's rezoned and there's no formal plan, down the road, if these guys, decide to do something different, it might not be tiny homes or a parking lot, there's no telling what could potentially be there. And I'm concerned with foot traffic and stuff going up Main Street. If we rezone it now, it kind of just opens the door to be able to do as they please in the future. And as a citizen of Main Street, I would like to see a plan and something in place that's, that we can review before the zoning's done. That way we can understand what's happening and we can have a public forum with better understanding.
Well, I would agree with you, but at the end of the day, these things take years. It doesn't happen overnight. And all we're doing is taking a step, because anybody, whether it's these developers or anyone beyond them, if they sell the property, there's gonna be a real strict process to go through, whether it's a rental. I can tell, mobile home parks are out of the question on Main Street. That is our Main Street. We want development. And I've seen those mini homes up in Flagstaff and Sedona. It's very impressive when you see them, and if it's done right, it's very, very, very nice. So, I think,
Hector, this is like, they can't go any farther.
Yeah.
With planting, by the time they spend thousands of dollars on engineering, they're not gonna do anything until they get a rezone. We had to do that with the other lot where the guy's building the mini homes. We did way back, was it before the pandemic, the big lot across from Odonetos, and then it ended up being back up for sale again.
It
But
did sell.
this is just one step before they can go any farther. It might, who knows, with tariffs and everything else, they'd say that, it might be squashed for a few, But they can't go really any farther till this is rezoned, if they, yes.
I just wanted to let you know, his property is on the list that everything's done with it as far as
Yeah.
remediation, just so you know, I have that, report. So his property's on that list.
I don't know what for me, I think back to Mr. Aparicio over there, is that I totally agree with you. I think we're just giving you the opportunity to develop a concept, and then I don't know how we're gonna go today, but at the end of the day, if this moves forward with the change, I think we would have to have it would be maybe in your benefit, I'm not a developer, to have a concept. So you don't go down the road and spending tens of thousands of dollars and wind up that you gotta get a bigger water line, you gotta add fire hydrants and all that stuff. We've had those challenges. People buy the property and the next thing you know, they're paying $100,000 to get a feed off of Arizona water. So those are the hidden pitfalls, and if you have deep pockets, that will work. Some people don't. I know we had a couple issues with water supply that, oh yeah, we got water, yeah, but it wasn't rated for commercial use or a larger scope. So just a word of caution. I like the ideas. I like what you're doing because it's a nice piece of property. But at the end of the day, you're gonna have to come back.
So all these issues, I mean, they're very detail oriented. This is, as far as a rezone, this is a very light site plan. Most of the others have had at least some conceptuals. I will say many of the conceptuals we were provided weren't what was actually built. A conceptual is just that. It's a proposed use. It's not binding. They can change, the property could change hands. It could go to an entirely different use in the end. What you're considering is whether or not you want to allow higher density uses there. By rezoning to R3, you open up the possibility of building a hotel, a apartment complex, townhomes. All of those things are allowed in R3. So we just have to be aware that any of these conceptuals, maybe tiny homes fall out of favor and we don't build those anymore. Maybe the funding for them dry up, or any number of things could happen in the next 5 years. So we have to consider all of the potential proposed uses for an R3 and whether or not we consider R3 acceptable in that area.
So that's basically, we're considering whether it's acceptable for an R3.
Yes.
It's Main Street.
Well, we've sort of set the standard there,
Yeah.
approving the one.
What I would say is that there's been lots of conversation with the neighborhood. Hopefully everyone is aware of what's going on. But we want to make sure that there's lots of opportunities for people to have feedback. Setting a stipulation on this approval could say that we want to see a full design review before anything moves forward,
Right.
because it's such a light site plan. Might be something you could put as a stipulation for the rezone. But-
Looking at this, it just looks massively congested.
This is not buildable. It doesn't meet setback. Even for a mobile home subdivision, you can't do this. This is too tight.
It's actually confusing it, very true.
Well, it's a conceptual drawing that Lana actually worked through it. She was the one that actually helped me to be able to put it together. So I wasn't doing anything on my own accord. I simply was following her directions on the thing. And again, it's a 3.5 acre parcel versus a 1.6 acre parcel where the guy put 29 homes on that. Again, I'm not the one that made the rules. I simply was doing what somebody was advising me to be able to do.
Yeah, and then this does meet the rules for doing a site plan. It doesn't require a professional site plan. It requires a site plan with certain stipulations for
It's
this
a
sort of
concept, really.
for conception.
Yes, Hector.
You know, what Todd was saying, if it opens the door for any type of high density living, you know, and if it doesn't work out with these gentlemen, and in 5 years, you know, somebody wants to build an apartment complex or a hotel there, you know, it's gonna increase the foot traffic up and down Main Street. Even just with the relocation of Circle K down to the bottom of Main Street, there's been a highly populated rate of transit people and people walking up and down the street consistently. And I don't think that would improve that area, having, you know, potentially apartments, hotels, or anything in the future. And I think it's a delicate situation if this is approved to go to R3 because of that situation.
Well, it's a commercial, I mean, it's, Main Street is primarily commercial.
ADOT classifies Main Street as a minor collector. It is one of 2 high traffic roads in town that are considered for concentrated traffic. So traffic is, we're well below the ADOT standard. It's about 1,000 vehicles a day. 2,000 or 3,000 is very doable on Main Street. So the traffic itself isn't an issue. It's more an issue of, if I understand what he's saying, is that the nature of the people that are going to be living there, and we don't know that if it's a nice subdivision and we have you know, young families moving in there, it may be a huge asset for the neighborhood. We just
If
don't
it
know.
gets approved for a subdivision.
Yeah.
We're just talking about, so.
If it was a subdivision, we'd probably be talking by a much lower density. So subdivisions, you'd be splitting the property into multiple R15s. It would not be an R3. R15s are 5,000 square feet per property, so you probably could do like 1/8 acre lots, so you could do a maximum of maybe 24 on that property, assuming the property would support that. It doesn't seem likely.
I know you mentioned about if the mine gets off the ground, we've been working, the mine's been working on it for over 20-some years. So when you talk about permitting, that's a tough thing, but I can tell you right now, based on what I'm aware of, that the mine development on the north side of you, that's a big project that even without you being there, there's gonna be a lot of traffic on Main Street coming off of the highway. A lot of traffic, probably gonna need street light or something there. That's how much traffic I think that's gonna be run through once the mine starts going into full development for about 10 years, so. To just kind of, that was actually for you, Mr. Aparicio, because I know you're close to the highway, you're close to the church there, and you see a lot of traffic.
And
I don't even know how you get in and out of your,
you know, and it's one of the only streets in town that's 35 miles an hour.
yeah.
And it is ridiculous the amount of traffic that we get and how fast they travel coming up and down the street.
Yeah.
I mean, I have young kids and it's impossible to have them even go outside of our yard because of the amount of traffic and people walking up and down the street. And I'm just, you know, I've been a resident here almost my entire life and I plan on being here when I'm gone. And I just want to see change for the better of the town. You know, I'm all for growth, but I wanna see growth in the right direction. And I'm concerned that if we allow high density population on these parcels without an adequate plan, that it can lead to something that we're left with in 50 years that we're gonna have to deal with. You know, I don't wanna see an apartment complex or a hotel go up on our main street. Yes, it's nice, it's convenient for people to visit, but the amount of other traffic that it's gonna invite it's, you know, I will be here every meeting if I can.
Well, as far as based on that, I'm sensitive, believe me, I am sensitive to that. But I think you're the only resident from the church going east all the way up to almost to Forest, or, no, on the other side, where the Guzmans live, on that side.
Roy is,
I'm not sure, Roy.
Metal building out front with the house on the back next to the.
No, that's Mr.
Oh, I'm
Swift.
sorry.
Yes, yes, I live next to Mr.
okay,
Swift.
you have the lights on the outside.
I do.
So one more comment. Again, this is not going to be the last time we have this conversation about that stretch of road. The Harding School is scheduled for demolition in July. All of the interested bidders on it are hotel developers. So it's very likely that that lot would be considered for a hotel. And this isn't going to be the last time we have this conversation.
I know, we don't have crystal balls, Mr. Aparicio, I understand, but at the same time, you live on Main Street. I mean, you actually have a golden age, you're sitting on the golden age there. Not maybe in the next 20, 30 years, somebody's gonna wind up with a boatload of cash for that nice property you have. And, yeah, I understand, but I also understand we need to give the opportunity for developers like the hotel that people may be looking at the Harding School. It's gonna change there. You know, whether we like it or not, we have to kind of open our doors a little bit, and Main Street is probably the place to do it. I'm sensitive to the fact that you live on Main Street, but those are things that I think we anticipate coming down in the future. We just gotta give an opportunity for our developers to at least have an opportunity to develop it in a way that's beneficial and fits in with the rest of not only with the residents, but other commercial properties that are gonna be coming.
See, in January, we rezoned along the highway there from urban residential R15 to general commercial C2 on the south side of the highway.
Yeah. So John, a developer is purchased those properties, and I don't know what the end use is going to be on those. They're contiguous with existing C1 commercials, so could be a gas station, could be a hotel, could be any commercial use. So again, that area is kind of poised for development. For the good or for the bad, all these properties are on the market now, and change is coming.
I have no further. Anybody else? Anybody? Any questions? Okay, do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to make that rezoning change from
R15 to R3. With the stipulation that, where the suggestion was, with the stipulation that it come back for design review before construction.
well, that's a given.
Design reviews can be done administratively by staff, or they can come back to the Planning and Zoning Commission. We have that ability to make that distinction. So by making a motion to bring the design review back to Planning and Zoning, you direct staff that you want it to come to.
Well, with the stipulation that anything on Main Street come back to this body for review, not an administrative okay.
Well, the code change we adopted 3 months ago.
I know that,
Yeah.
I know that, but just out of courtesy, because this is a very sensitive area, and I don't think it wouldn't be beneficial for this body here to allow you or the town, an individual, to make a decision on administrative zoning change on Main Street, especially Main Street. Don't hang us out to dry.
I understood that, but that's, you had started a motion and I was
Okay.
trying to
Do I hear a
clarify
second?
the motion, so.
Do I hear a second?
Can you clarify that motion for the clerk so we have a clear understanding of what you're directing?
Can you clarify my motion? Cause I'm getting, I made the motion to change from the zoning from R
1-5.
1-5 to R 1-3 with the stipulation that
R3. not
R3 with the stipulation
that design review come back to the planning and zoning commission.
design review come back to the P&Z.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
Motion made by Hank Gutierrez to approve R 15 to R3 with stipulation to design review come P&Z, seconded by Robert Bell. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Matt votes no. I'd like to have more info on this before I vote on it.
So we'll need a roll
So
call
I can
vote.
do an individual vote. Lance Bell, how do you, Robert Bell, I'm sorry, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay. Hank Gutierrez,
Aye.
Mary Ann Bell,
Aye.
Lance Lindsay,
Aye.
aye. Matt Bashaw, no. So we have 4 yeses and 1 no. Motion carries to adopt resolution 2025-03.
So from any members of the public who would like, and for the property owner, this is not formal until it's approved by the council. The council meeting's on March 13th or at 7 p.m. If you would like to, I would encourage the property owner to be there for that, and for anyone, and please do share the information with the community, make sure everybody knows. If they want to have their voice heard, the council meeting is the next opportunity for that. We want to make sure there's plenty of opportunity for everybody to have input on this, so please do spread the word.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So move.
Do I hear a motion? Oh, so moved. Hank Gutierrez made a motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I hear a second?
A second?
Seconded by Lance Lindsay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Adjournment of the Superior Planning and Zoning Commission.